Hello there, today I'm going to be showing you the simplest way to draft your bustier top with yoke. Once again, you're welcome back to the channel. If you've not subscribed to this channel already, go ahead and subscribe. Alright, the first thing we're going to be doing is to divide our shoulder measurement by 2 and mark. You come down by 1 inch. That's to form the shoulder slope. And the next thing you're going to be doing after that is to mark your neck width. Usually it's 3 inches. 3 inches is the standard measurement. And then with my ruler, I'm going to be connecting the 2 points to form the shoulder slope. So this is how we form our shoulder slope. The next thing we're going to be doing is to create the armhole. In order to get your armhole length, you divide your bust by 6 and add 2 inches. So bust divided by 6 plus 2. For me, what I got is 7. So I'll come down by 7. And to ensure that my line is straight, I'm going to also mark 7.5 inch, which is my shoulder divided by 2, on that point where I marked my armhole length, where my armhole length stopped, so that I can easily rule a straight line. So with my award-winning ruler that I fought the good fight of faith, I'm going to be connecting these points. So when I'm done connecting the points, I'm going to mark the chest line. The chest line is your bust divided by 4. So your bust divided by 4, you're going to mark whatever you get when you divide your bust by 4 to form your armhole extension or your chest line. So I'm double checking my line to make sure that it is straight. I always do this because my ruler is currently in a very wonderful shape. So so always do this to ensure that your line is straight. Next step is to mark our horizontal measurements. By horizontal measurements, I mean your nipple point or your bust point, depending on what you call it. For me, my bust point is 10. Your under bust, mine is 14, and then your half length, mine is 16. So whatever yours is, do well to mark yours. I usually mark in 2 places to ensure that I achieve the straight line. So do same to achieve straight line. So I'm going to connect the dots. I'm going to connect the dots to form a straight line. Next, we're going to be creating our darts. And to create your dart, you divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2 and mark what you have. For me, my nipple to nipple measurement is 7. So divided by 2 will give me 3.5. So with my wonderful ruler, I'm going to connect the dots. So now that I've connected my line, I'm going to connect again in order to make sure that it's very visible, because on this line we're going to be doing a lot of manipulations to achieve our princess dart. Next step, I'm going to be leveling my lines. That's the chest line, that's the bust line, that's the under bust, and that's the half length. So on the under bust line, I'm going to be marking ½ inch towards the center front. So towards the center front, you mark both on the under bust line and the half length line. When I'm done doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to check the difference between my bust point and my under bust, and I will divide it by 2. If you're a smaller person, when you have divided by 2, still take out 0.25 or 0.5 from whatever you have before marking, just so that your cup will not be too big if you are not a busty person. You know what I mean. Now with the cupped part of my wonderful ruler, I'm going to connect, but before I do that, I'll come down from the bust point by ½ inch. So you come down from the bust point by ½ inch, and then I'm going to connect with the curved part of my ruler. Now that's the curved part that is left from my ruler. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the side front. So this is center front, this is side front. Now, in order to do our over bust tightening, we're going to be creating a neck dart. So, you know, to create a neck dart, divide your shoulder line by 2. So, and mark, in order to get the midpoint, you know, you divide the shoulder line by 2 in order to get the midpoint. Then I will connect it to the chest line. So the nipple to nipple mark I've already given at the chest line. So you connect it like so. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is to finish up our armhole. So we'll finish up our armhole. I left it out earlier, but we'll finish it up right now by dividing the armhole length by 2. When you divide the armhole length by 2, with your curved ruler, you're going to connect it to the end of your chest line. So when you've done that, the next thing we're going to be doing is to create the neckline that you want. Depending on how deep you want your yoke to be, or how deep you want the cleavage to show. If you don't want the cleavage to show so much, then you are going to be marking, you're going to mark down by like 6 inches. That means you're going to be going up by like 2 or 3 inches just to make sure you cover your cleavage. Next thing we're going to be doing is to using your curve ruler, or you can even do this with your free hand, to just create a princess dart. I'm just doing something slight. I didn't want it to be too deep. I didn't want it to be, you know, too curvy around the chest region. So just feel free to manipulate the yoke line the way you want, the way you prefer it to be. When I'm done doing that, the next thing is to do the over bust tightening. This is a very important step, so that you make sure that it will not, your cleavage will not be gaping, the clothes will not be gaping around the cleavage region. So on the far end, you take either 1 inch or 0.75. That's actually up to you. You can either take 0.75 on one side and take 1 inch on the other side, or you can take 1 inch on the both sides. It doesn't really matter much. So we are connecting whatever you took, your 1 inch, to your nipple point, your bust point, not to the ½ inch you marked earlier. And then you will do the same for the flip side, for the side front. So whatever you do for the front, center front, you do for the side front. I hope I made myself clear. You connect the 0.75 or the 1 inch you marked to your bust point, so as to achieve the over bust tightening. Now, before I mark the neckline, I'm going to be cross-checking the dart legs for the over bust. Now, if you cross-check your dart leg, when I cross-check mine, it was just shortened by less than 0.1 inch, so I feel it's negligible. But for if yours is anything above 0.25, then you will correct the dart leg of the center front to make sure it matches with the dart leg of the side front. I hope that's clear enough. So the next thing you have to do is to draw your neckline. However you want the neckline to be, it can be round neck, it can be V neck. For me, I'm just using a basic neck, like 3x3 round neckline. So we are almost done. The next thing we're going to be doing is to be inputting our horizontal measurement. The bust measurement is already there. The bust by 4 will give you the bust measurement. Now look at this carefully. You're going to add back what you removed. So what I'm doing now is to add the dart that we removed. Remember, we removed the over bust tightening. So the dart whatever you form the over bust, you're going to add it back. So you're going to add whatever of your chest allowance, just so that you make sure that you don't lose any of your sewing allowance. Next, you're going to be dividing your under bust by 4. And then you're going to mark. When you've marked that, you're going to add back, we're going to be adding back the, for me it's now 2.5 inches. The 2.5 inches I took as that to form my under bust tightening. So we're going to do the same thing for the waist. You divide your waist by 4, and then you measure what you use as the dart and you mark. With this, we are almost done. The next thing is just to, with my ruler, reconnect the lines. I had to start connecting from the down so that it would give me, I'll be able to connect all the points. When you're done connecting, it may not look very like a smooth, curve or a smooth or a straight line. Don't worry, it's okay for it to be disjointed like this. When you're done sewing, it's still going to hold you the way it's supposed to be. With that done, we are done with our fronts. But before we conclude, we're going to be redrafting our armhole. Now this is in order to remove any form of bulginess from the armhole. So if you make dresses and then you see that there is always this bulginess, with this method you're going to eliminate the bulge. So just come in by 0.5, the place you marked as the half of the armhole, just come in by 0.5 and then reform your armhole, and that is going to eliminate any form of bulginess. And then blend, let everything be blended out, and that is our new armhole. So with my marker pen, I'm going to mark out how I'm going to cut the patterns. So just watch what I'm marking out. This is exactly how I'm going to cut out the patterns. So watch this part carefully so that you don't cut out the parts that you do not need when you are making the dress. Now we're going to be cutting the back pattern just the way we started the front. You just mark out your baseline, that's what we'll be starting to take our measurement. The back is very simple too, and it takes lesser time to do. The first thing you're going to be doing whenever you're cutting the back of a cloth and you're going to use zip to sew, I first of all mark out the zip allowance. So depending on what you want to use as a zip allowance, I used 1 inch for this clothes. Once you're using lining for a dress, please use more than 1 inch. I used 1 inch because I knew I could sew in my zip with 1/2 inch and I will not have an issue. But for you, you might just need to add 1/2 inch to turn in your lining so that 1 inch will be enough for you to sew in your zip. The next thing we're going to be doing, once we have labeled our zip allowance, is to divide the neckline by 2. Divide your neckline by 2, and just the way we did for the front, come down by 1 inch. This 1 inch is going to help us to form our shoulder slope. When we've done that, we're going to mark the neck width, which is 3, standard measurement 3, and then you're going to also mark your armhole length. Remember, armhole length is your bust divided by 2 plus 2 divided by 6, divided by 6 plus 2 inches. So whatever you have, you're going to mark. For me, it's 7 and I've marked it. Next thing we're going to be doing, just like we did for the front, I'm going to double check my line to make sure that it's going to be straight. When I'm done doing that, I'm going to divide my bust into 4. Bust divided by 4 in order to form the chest line, just the way we did for the back. Now we're going to divide the armhole length by 2, just to find the midpoint, and then you connect to form the armhole curve. For the back, you don't need to come in by 0.5 or anything, just it's okay the way it is right now. So the next thing we're going to be inputting our vertical measurements. That you don't even need to mark the nipple point. You just need to mark the under bust and the half length. So I usually mark in 2 places in order to make sure that I have a straight line. So all I'm gonna do is just connect the lines, and my horizontal measurements are ready. So the next thing we're going to be doing is just the way we drafted the dart for the front. We're going to draft the dart for the back. Nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. You're going to divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2, and then connect the dots to form your dart leg. So you're going to, on the line, you're going to take ½ inch on both sides of the line, ½ inch on both sides to give you 1 inch. So 1 inch is your dart intake for the back, and then you will connect your line to the chest line to form the darts for the back. So your neckline for the back can be anyhow you want it to be. You can do a keyhole neckline for the back. You can do a V neckline. I'm going to be using a V neckline for mine, so I'm just going to be taking out 2 inches from my center back, and then I'm going to do a slanted line from the neck width straight down to the 2 inches mark I gave on the chest line. So that's just it, as simple as it is. That's how I want my own to be. But if you want your own to be dramatic, go ahead and put in all the drama. Yeah, you got that. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to input my horizontal measurements. My bust divided by 4 have already been marked when we're marking our armhole. So you're going to also mark your under bust divided by 4, and then remember to add the darts you took, the dart intake. I'm sorry that my logo is closing up that area. All I did was just to take in my measurements. Okay, I shifted it closer so that you can see what I'm doing now. So all I did was to take in my measurements, my waist divided by 4, and I added the dart intake that I took. So that's it. You just connect the lines and your back pattern is ready. So what I'm going to be doing now is to finish up the lines, because I'm going to be taking zip allowance. I'm going to be taking in ½ inch from the zip allowance in order to eliminate the zip bulge. I don't want my zip to be bulging. When I'm done making it, I'm going to see how it sits, sleek behind. Just take out ½ inch on your waistline. Take out ½ inch on your waistline, the zipper allowance region. Just take out ½ inch and you are good to go. That's all you need to do for your zip to sit properly. We are done with this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. So I'll be uploading another tutorial where I join the pieces. See how well I padded it, man. You need to watch the next tutorial. I'm going to be releasing on this same channel the sewing tutorial, step by step, how you're going to sew, how you're going to join every piece together. So make sure you are plugged into this channel by subscribing to this channel. If you're still here, that means you loved the video. So don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Love you. Bye.